Oh my goodness. And we're live. I'm sorry about that. I was starstruck by these two beautiful bearded men below me. I
No,
feel
no,
like the end
Caleb,
of an
Caleb, we're
eraser.
literally nobodies.
No, no, no. Beautiful, beautiful people. Welcome everybody to another episode of Camera and Flask. We do this every single Wednesday. And yeah, we're back again. And how are you two guys doing while the chat slowly wakes up from its slumber? Jem?
Which one of us is going to go
What's
first? I
Which
thought
happening?
one?
Jem was all
This is
primed to
going
speak, so
No,
really
I don't know
well.
who's supposed to go first. I'm
Okay.
I'm
Jem,
starstruck
what's
from the
going on?
Golden Boy in his new swanky digs over there.
it looks so
Um,
nice, lovely.
Thank you.
so I'm waiting for everybody to come in. So you go first, Ben, because we have a little discussion that we have to have. We have to have a little sit down with the kids in the chat room at the beginning of the show. Um, it's not gonna
Uh-oh.
it's not gonna take too long, but we're gonna have to have a little chat.
This is
And
how
three
the
six.
talk
Oh,
always starts.
Yeah.
So what's
amazing.
going on, Ben? How are you doing?
Good, thanks. A busy week of kind of just hiding in my house, which is been all right. Today's a national holiday here. It's so all the schools are shut. No one's at work, so exactly like every other day at the moment. But technically, we're celebrating 102 years since the formation of the first Czechoslovak Republic in 1918. So that's today. The kids have because they're actually on a break this week anyway. So I've been mad busy on this edit for this cooking show. So the trailers and everything have gone out for that today. So I had the afternoon off. Did a little cookout in the garden.
Nice.
Yeah, it was nice. Nice autumn day today. Yeah, that was me. What are you up to, Jim?
I'm also working from home. I don't have the same exact situation you do. Our country is either imploding or exploding, depending on how you look at it. And we're less than a week away from Election Day, which means that we'll find out who our president is in about 3 months. So, that's the way it works here
Yeah.
nowadays, I think.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask you a quick question on the process of it? So I know that just from I have a lot of American friends through social media that I follow. So I've seen that people have been doing mail-in voting. So like that's
Yeah.
obviously something you do before. But I
Yeah.
also saw people like lining up to vote. Like I think I saw George posting that he did in this big like. So how does that work? Because it's not like just one day that you go
So,
and do
yeah,
your voting and the rest of it's
it's called
before. There seems to be this other thing.
It's called the United States of America, and some stuff happens here because of those 50 states, and it's different everywhere. And in my state
Okay.
of Oregon, every registered voter gets a mail in ballot, and you have the choice to either mail that in. Generally, about hopefully a couple of weeks before the election, so it doesn't short circuit the system, or you can do what we did, which is you drive down to the ballot box and you actually put it in the box. But there is also in most states the ability to vote in person, and there's early voting all over the country. So that's the easiest way. And then, of course, there's the popular vote here in the United States, and then there's the Electoral College, which
Yeah.
generally is supposed to go to the popular vote, but that's not always the way it works, depending on who the representatives are and senators and things from a state. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on. That's not what this show is, but it
Interesting.
is happening.
No, no, no.
No, but it is
This is a
interesting.
very
Now,
good synopsis.
thank you.
No, good.
For
Thank you
for
for
the
filling me in. That's good.
for the people who are in the chat now, and we have a fair number now, and I wanted to do a shout out to some. And Harrison, nice to have you back at the live show again, and the normal cast of characters. There's a thing called advertising on YouTube, and I make absolutely no money with it, but we have limited availability last week and the week before. There were some things that may have been said, and some of them may have been in the chat. And I want us to have a good time. And we can say the odd off color word here and there, but you know who you are. Don't go down that road. There could be some emojis with things like tears and things like that that may mean that they're not tears. And I'm just saying that maybe small brown fox, that we should be a little bit more, careful so that we can keep this channel going in the way it was before and it doesn't get flagged as some other channel, because really what we're trying to do is have a good time, take the piss, and have a drink. So that's all I got to say about that. Doesn't mean we can't have a good time, kids, but I had to have a sit down and have this chat.
Yep.
Okay.
Because even if you don't make a lot off of AdSense, if YouTube can't make money off of you, even if it's just a little, ouch from the algorithm. At least that's the theory. They won't say it. No one will say it, but yeah.
Would like to get recommended every once in a while in the future. It wouldn't be horrible. And thank you for the likes. Very nice. I appreciate it. Okay. Take it away, Caleb.
So I think we should start cracking various bottles and cans open. So let's do Ben first this week. What do you got there, Ben? What do you got a good one in chat? Let us know as well.
Okay, this is an exciting one this week. So I think I've mentioned this a few times, one of the few culinary things that I miss from the UK is cider. Like, here has the best beer on earth in this country. There's loads of it. It's amazing. It's really cheap.
Big statement.
Huge popular opinion, and justifiably so. This cider I cannot get in decent cider. They sell it here, but it's like 2.5%, 3%. So it's just horribly sickly sweet. It's alcohol. It's drink for people who don't like drinking alcohol, is what the cider is here. The cider I like from the UK is very dry cider, dry cider that tastes almost like rotting apples and is normally 6% plus. And I found this on an online place this week.
Come on,
this is called.
Bring it on.
Focus. Come on. There we go.
Ooh.
So this is.
That's not English.
Dry.
Yeah.
It's not. This is Czech. Tatův sad means father's orchard, and I actually had one of these when we were cooking out with the kids earlier, and it is exceptionally good. It's really like proper English cider. So
really?
That's what I'm on today. Yeah. It's a good find. It's quite expensive compared to beers here. It's like 2.5 times what I pay for a beer that size. But as a little treat every now and again, this is excellent.
Very nice.
So I'm very happy to have found this. Yes.
Perfect time of year.
Sky is drinking in the gym. Oh, water. Okay, there you go.
I'm drinking drinking water. Nice. Beautiful. All right, Jem, what you got?
I got a little present from Future Media Concepts. I did a session today for Post Production World Conference, and it's not the Scotch inside of here, but they got this really nice, what do you call these things? It's not a decanter. It's a bottle. What is it? What is it called?
It's
a decanter. And then a nice
That's
full glass set. Piss off. Piss off, Ben. So I'm having the Glenlivet Double Oak, and I'm having a little bit of that. So a splash of that. And to FMC, thank you for the gift. I appreciate it. There we go.
Very nice.
Yep.
Delicious.
I'm all set. Yes.
Okay.
And you? What about you, Caleb?
I'm going to, just because I can and because I'm super excited about it and super fancy, going to get another camera angle here. And this week, going over to beer.
Yeah.
So this is Prairie Street IPA. It is a brewery I really like out of Rockford, Illinois.
Yeah.
And gonna crack into this bad boy. It's one of those larger guys. What is this? People who drink beer regularly. No, 16.
Wait, can you hold that? Can you hold that up again? I'm just gonna go to a single for that. There it is. Very nice.
That's a 500 ml can
for you guys over the pond.
No, those of us in every other country on earth.
Whoa! Now we're getting too fan. Oh, come on. There you go.
Gratuitous now.
Yeah, there you go. Now there you go. There's my space, just so that we can camera switch here. Give me a break. Okay. Unbelievable.
I told you. I had to do it just because I could.
Is this your episode? Him, that guy right
Beautiful.
there.
Love it. I
Okay,
need one of
there
those
you go.
cams, a wide cam.
That's
Wide
the
shot
9mm. That's the Laowa, the 0D. Yeah, baby. I had a Shazam says, Jem, are you using a Fuji camera? Yes, I am. XT3. What cameras are you guys all using for the live stream? Caleb, what are the 14 cameras you're using today for the live stream?
So, 3 in this space. For the first time in a long time, a Canon camera. So this is actually the Canon RP, which a lot of people are gonna be like, really, really, Caleb? But think about it. For a live stream camera, it's perfect.
You look lovely. You look
HD.
great. Yeah.
I don't need anything more than HD. I'm going through an A10 mini, so all I can do is HD. And I mean, I'm really enjoying the Canon colors again. So I know
Somebody
that's
said
kind
you
of
look
like,
like you're in a
the
hotel.
Canon colors. Meh.
Looks great.
Yeah.
You look great.
It's beautiful.
It's kind of
Very
going for
nice.
like, sound stage kind of vibe.
Yeah.
But I can see where a hotel could be a thing.
No,
and then
like
for the other camera angles, we're doing 2 Sonys, A64 and 6600. Wait, I did that backward. There we go. Those two are the same, pretty much the same camera. Just because of the autofocus is decent,
So
and I'm less
fancy,
concerned. But
fancy.
there's that magenta skin tones, no matter what you do. So
Yeah.
that's the deal. But all the
Beautiful.
autofocus work great. And then I'm using Sigma primes for the 2 Sonys. And on this camera angle, I'm actually using clear image zoom, which is awesome. So I can get a wider shot or a closer with that prime, because those smart Sony folk. So
Yep.
let's raise our glasses. Cheers.
Here we go. Cheers.
To another
Slanjava.
another show.
Zdravie.
And thank you
Let's
everyone
do it.
for hanging out. 34
Yes.
people.
Caleb,
Pop City. Yes, sir.
new aperture light bulb in the back. Do you have the B happening?
Yeah, both of those are the B7Cs. Set to their warmest mode. I Aperture, if you're watching, I love you, and I big fan, obviously, but I haven't actually, and forgive me if they're watching, I haven't actually done anything with the app. I've been really enjoying like how simple it is to use without the app.
Interesting.
So they've gotten clever with the buttons on it. So if you don't want to touch an app, you can like do all different combinations to switch stuff up. So those are both set to their warmest, which Tommy's in here, I saw, so he could tell me what the warmest color temp is, but it's almost an orange. So
Maybe it's red.
I'm just kind of playing
Komodo.
around with those.
Yeah.
There you go. Red Komodo.
And the RP, I saw this actually before. Also, Shazam went on sale today with the 24-105 kit lens. I think it's that variable aperture one, not the the f4 one. And for $999, so you get a full frame Canon and a lens
with
for
the
under
lens?
$1,000. Yeah.
Dadgum. I bought mine used because there's all these people dumping the RP to move up. So eBay's get some deals there, but that $1,000 with the lens, that's hard to beat. Tommy says 2700 Kelvin. Gotcha.
Nice.
So this week we don't really have a topic. We're just hanging out with you guys. We've really enjoyed the last couple of weeks of just talking and letting the conversation go where it may. So if you guys have any questions or topics you'd like to talk about, it'd be nice to talk to other human beings and it not involve what's happening in the world.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
And let's add in at the
yeah.
C47 if it's a question. If you're chatting in the chat, and chatty, then just do so. But add an at the C47. Though we do have one from 360 Grad that does not have that. What about Aperture sending out a bulb to all of us and we make a B-roll contest? Oh, I didn't even read it before I read it. That would be kind of cool. I don't think it'll happen, but I think it's a really cool idea. Yeah.
Jared, thank you for the kind words, and cheers to you as well in Southern California. And Shazam says, join MZ. Jem, are you doing any more courses?
There's talk of me doing an addendum to the C500 Mark II course. I'm actually working on my own courses on remote production right now, which will be on my platform, streamable, I guess you would call, not downloadable, and then also available on LinkedIn Learning. So I've actually started production on those. So it's all about like this and all of the stuff related to remote, like production, and it's going to be, I think, a three-parter. The first one's going to be more, what do you do with webcams and laptops and iPhones and smartphones, and how can you raise production value that way. The second one's going to be more getting into this whole thing, and how do you do this with switchers and everything. So it's all laid out, and it's actually, we're probably going to be rolling quite a bit tomorrow and the next day. So we're really all set up for it. So I'm excited.
Nice.
Yeah.
Perfect.
There you go. Yep.
Question for you, Ben, while the chat thinks of things to ask and talk about and say. Good to see you, Baron. Cool. So you're in the middle. We mentioned, we were talking before the stream. Ben is entering a long haul of editing, right? And your country's locked down. You're just ready to like get in there and get her done. So I've always interested to hear how other people do it, but when you have a massive edit gig ahead of you, is there anything you try to do to stay on target? Because that can be absolute murder. I always, going into that, look forward to it because I can just edit. I don't have to you have to think, but it's not the same as production, writing.
No.
It's just like, just take all this video and cut it. But then when I get into it, I'm like, all I want to do is procrastinate and do other stuff. So what do you do? How do you handle that?
It's a really good question. I think this week, because I've been cutting a bit. I've been doing assembly edits as I've been shooting the series. So now it's refining them, and there's a huge amount of work in that for each episode. So these are sort of 10 to 14-minute episodes, 10 of those. So the assemblies are done. But the cooking segments, they come down to about a minute each. There's 3 of them per episode, and those are sort of cut down from probably 40 minutes. So that takes a huge amount of time, and then it's just all the finishing. There's an awful lot of finishing and audio work. And I think what I found is doing the assembly edits, and we did the first cut on a couple of them just to be sending off to the platform, the online TV that the company that they got being broadcast through. Once I'm into the edit now, once I finish shooting, my head's properly in that space, and I'm not panicking about it. I've been panicking about it because I just have this huge sea of editing building up. One of the things that's also helped is I've really made a decision to switch to Resolve and properly learn it, because I've been using it for years and I love grading in it, and I think I'm all right on that front. But editing, I'm more familiar with Premiere, but I've really, the last 2 weeks, I'm now way, way faster, even aside from the fact that Resolve just works so much better and is a much faster piece of kit to use, just from a hardware point of view. But I'm now up to speed in terms of all the shortcuts. I love the way that just jumping between the different edit windows works really well. And one of the other things that has just... I always find doing the audio edit a real pain in the arse, because I've got 3 radio mics for each episode, and they're going pretty much consistently. And then I've got a shotgun on the camera, and then there's loads of sound effects, there's loads of sort of just tone stuff, wild track stuff, music tracks. And I tried this thing called, I don't know if either of you used this plugin before, called Alex Audio Butler. Have either of you used this thing?
Nope.
It is phenomenal. It's absolutely, it basically just audio mixes for you. So if you get disciplined in putting things in a structure, so that I know that Matteo, he's always channel 2, and then I just put each track down. So I'm very disciplined with everything, because everything's all over the place, and I edit everything on a clip by clip basis rather than a track by track basis. Get the track sorted out properly, and then you drop the filter on. So it comes in as VST filters, and there's 4 of them. So there's one for voice, one for music, one for sound effects, and then there's a master. And then you can set it for each of those. So you can put each of those onto a different track, and you can set a level of because it does a compression job on it. So it's doing audio refinement, and it's then setting level, and it's doing audio ducking and all the rest of it. And then it says, where are we going with this? Are we doing YouTube? Are we doing broadcast? And it sets your output levels as well. And I just thought it can't
Amazing.
possibly. I think I
Can
spent.
you put a link?
Yeah. It's called alexaudiobutler.com is where the
And how much do you think you spent on it?
It was I found a discount somewhere. I can't even remember where. There was a review that I read that had it on. It's if you buy it for, I've got the pricing here for you. It's got if you're buying it for a single platform, so for Premiere or for Resolve, it's 79, and I think it's about 139 euros for everything. So that's Premiere, Resolve. I don't think it works in Final Cut, but it's absolutely incredible. So that's saving me a huge amount of time, and the frustration of doing that at the end of each edit, and because each edit also ends up with there's the main edit, and then I've got 3 different so each one of the cooking segments gets done as a separate, and then there's a trailer needs cutting for each episode. So I'm finding that not having that to do for each one, and the other beautiful thing with this plugin is that you can put it onto the audio tracks before you even start cutting, and it's live mixing for you whilst you're editing. As you're putting stuff in, it's already ducking stuff, putting things in with levels. So it doesn't work on absolutely everything. Obviously, sometimes you're putting sound effects in and it's either ducking them too low or it's getting them out. But I just have a track at the bottom which I just have as manual stuff that I don't want it to touch, and I'm going to set the level for that based on. But it's a phenomenal piece of kit. I've just seen very little about it in terms of reviews and people talking about it. It's been out for over a year. But yeah,
do a YouTube video on it.
Yeah,
I should do a YouTube video.
Call them, be like, hook me up with an affiliate account, and bam.
Yeah,
done deal.
It's a good idea. Yeah. So I'd be interested to hear if anyone else if has used it and what their experience has been. But so far, I'm finding it to be a game changer. And I think again, kind of going back to what you were asking, because I've got to output every week. I'm needing to generate an episode a week. And I wanted to get ahead of myself because I want to get onto stuff that earns more money as well. And post-work stuff I can do from the UK. So Jago's been shooting stuff for me in the UK, and then I'm doing the post and it here. So being able to get back to a bit more of that stuff is great. So I'm fairly motivated and happy with it all. Ask me again in 3 weeks, and then it might be a different answer. But right now.
So your schedule is just sit down and hammer it out and just keep going until you take a, I don't know, Twitter and coffee break or something.
I don't know if you're the same. I find that I can sit with an edit and look at it for hours and procrastinate and be on social media and not doing it. But once I'm in it, I can't put it down, because then once I'm into the rhythm of it, everything's just slotting into pieces, and I can cut incredibly quickly when I'm in that. But it can take me, if I then stop, say it gets to 7 in the evening, I go, right, I'm just stopping now, having my evening, and then I come back to it at 9 the next morning or 8 the next morning. It's not like you just pick up where you left off. That can take me 3 hours to get back into that place where I was. So really, when I get into it, I'll go until late into the evening, and then have an easier morning the next morning. It's just when it's happening, it's happening. It tends to be how it works. But I say,
right,
see in 3 weeks when I'm kind of rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
It's been going day after day on it. Yeah.
Nice. Let's see here. Looking in the chat. How would you suggest to call into a Zoom/Teams meeting while in the field and sending a feed out of a cinema camera with audio to the call? HDMI to USB adapter.
Keep it simple. We're getting to the point now where the HDMI to USB adapters are as little as, $20 to $30 US, that are similar to the cam links. So, and even Atomos has one now. It's a little bit more money than that. That's sort of the space that's $100 and less. That's what you do. Or get a camera that supports it internally, where you just go USB to USB, which is what's happening with Sony, Fuji, and Canon now. A large number of their cameras support just going directly. That would be the way I would do it. I mean, I think it does make a difference when you spend time shaping your image. It makes a difference if you're in this industry and you call in and you're using more than just a webcam, and you're looking down on the webcam and you're constantly looking to your other device and everything else. I think it makes a difference. But yeah, I think that's personally I think the way you go, or you just use your phone. Yeah.
Good question, Ryan. Let's see. What else we got here? We're talking about DZO films. Those zoom. Do you guys have an opinion on those zoom lenses?
Don't know
those,
anything
budget
about them.
zooms. Okay.
Don't know anything about them.
Seen them, but not really read up enough.
Right.
Rabbit Tribble.
I didn't know, but they now have a Super 35 option, which is pretty interesting.
Oh, really? Rabbit Tribble is saying, anybody remember cutting and splicing film? No, but I do remember tape-to-tape editing, which I did.
Yes.
So tape-to-tape I remember, but not cutting and splicing film. That just wasn't...
I did cutting and splicing audio. That's when I was at university.
I did film. I mean,
still with...
Yeah, like you, darkroom and,
Razor
and enlargers, but not for motion at all.
Camille coming in hot with €5.
Whoa! Hey now, boom! There it is
for the booze.
Let's do a little bit of a dance coming around. Hey, it's for the booze. Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you, Camille. Appreciate it. Yes, and earlier I did a test live stream earlier just to test something for my session, and Camille came in with a super chat. It was ridiculous.
Oh my goodness! Unbelievable.
So awesome. Very much appreciated. I do like it. And we need to booze sometimes, I think.
Yeah.
Sometimes I enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Looks like we're talking about the DZO films. I just want to touch on that for a second because I was just yesterday looking into those. So I thought they were Micro Four Thirds cinema zooms, which they are, but they recently came out with a set of Super 35 cinema zooms. That look really nice. So essentially, they're making various budget-friendly Fuji's cine zooms. So you should check them out. The Super 35 set looks pretty interesting.
When you say Fuji, so they're Fuji mount, like they sort of compete
like
with
the Fujifilm cine zooms.
Yeah, the 18 to 35 and the 50 to 135. Yeah,
they're like that. And they have a set for Micro Four Thirds and a set for Super 35, both with respective zoom ranges.
Yep.
But I think the pretty cheap. Let me pull that up here real quick. But I mean, think of something you would consider cheap cine zoom.
Yeah, Shazam is saying that they're called Pictor zooms, and I talked about them. Eric talked about them on News Shooter. I don't know anything about them.
So the set of Super 35s are $4,500.
Yeah.
And that's a 20 to 55 and a 50 to 125, both 2.8.
Okay.
The Micro Four Thirds, it looks like it's around $1,500 per lens.
Okay.
If I'm seeing this correctly. And they come in white, which is kind of cool. I always love seeing white cine zooms or cine lenses.
Stormtrooper.
Yeah.
Nice.
Or Canon.
It look pretty hot on a red Komodo.
Are you listening, Tommy?
You know, the white one? Yeah, right, Tommy?
Tommy's
and
probably
what mounts
getting,
have they got them in?
Darth Vader, though. Yeah.
Let's see here. I think they come with PL and they're interchangeable. PL and EF with spacers.
Got it.
I don't know what else you can buy it in, but 16 blade, 2.8 to 22, no breathing, and both par focal.
I was about to ask.
So,
okay.
Pretty interesting.
Okay. Are they supposed to have... I think Eric mentioned that they have actual character to them, too. They don't just look like what people would define as sterile in the lenses.
Oh, that's right, because you guys probably talked about it. Yeah.
Well, briefly. It got brought up last week. Yeah.
Okay. yeah, they from the videos I was seeing, they definitely have a little bit of some. Well, let me see if I can do this here. Will that show up in center? There's kind of what they
Yep.
look like.
Oh, they're big. They look bigger than the
Yeah, they're
Fuji's, but maybe that's just
right. Matching sizes. I think there's with a centimeter between the two in size
But
difference.
the gears are in the same place, I'm assuming.
Yep.
So that if you're swapping.
100%. So anyway,
Awesome.
interesting for sure.
Yeah.
Very.
Dude, this budget cinema lens land is getting ridiculous.
It's beautiful.
I mean,
love it.
It's
Come on.
It's really something else.
And I don't think it's just you don't just turn around one day and say I'm going to make lenses. Laowa,
No.
Venus Optics. It's not. You don't just duplicate the factory down the road that's making that car that you have the plans. I think it's far easier to copy a car than it is to start getting into the lens manufacturing business. It's not that many. There's word on the street that there are a company or two out there that are actually making a lot of the lenses for other people. I'm not talking about these ones, but that it is not dissimilar to the sensor industry in the fact that there are some bigger companies that are essentially they have the facilities to do it, so they're making lenses for other people. I didn't say anything. Let's see what we got. Yeah.
Andre says looks nice for the C70. That could be a cute little kit because they are like people have mentioned here in the chat. They're small, so they're lightweight.
Wait, they are. So even though it looks like a big lens, are they more kind of like this? They're not big.
If you watch a video with someone holding them, they look pretty small.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
can't remember the size. Ben could tell me. I think it's in metric.
Okay.
Specs.
There we
Daniel,
go.
Length. Oh wow! Holy smokes! Length is 6.4 inches. So that's
What?
real small.
That's like.
That doesn't seem right. That's impossible, right?
That's
I'm
tiny.
wrong, right?
That's
what B&H is
That's
saying.
what this is.
That's like a Super 16 lens.
This says 171, so 17 centimeters. That is small. And 1.5 kilos for the 20 to 55, and 1.7 kilos.
6.7 inches.
Wow.
Oh, under 7
inches.
So that is a small lens.
Insanely small.
That would be kind of cool. And parfocal, no breathing.
Nope.
360 grad. I want to be able to roll the ads. Be careful.
Watch yourself there, buddy.
Watch yourself, LiDAR auto. Watch yourself with your LiDAR autofocus over there. I don't really know anything about the new DJI Ronins. I know that they're kind of quote unquote playing catch up with like Zhiyun and the Weeble and the newer versions of those. I didn't know they had LiDAR because the problem with the previous gen was like you had to have a smartphone sitting on top of the gimbal setup in order for the tracking to work and for everything to happen. I don't know if that's the case anymore. Nobody, as of yet, maybe that's changed with the DJI updates. I don't think anybody has yet to crack the code of really great tracking from your smartphone yet on these gimbals. Meaning I have a Weeble S, and you can get the app and all the stuff, but it's clunky. It's still not
I
there.
have it as well. It's not great. It's not amazing. To be honest, I bought that
people
kit
are gonna
with
like
that.
set it all up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a pain. It'll get there.
Exactly.
They'll figure it out. They'll get it so it's just it works. And what really should happen, in my opinion, is sort of the way I always really loved Aperture's little remote that they included with all of their lights, and they were universal. I love the fact that I didn't have to rely upon this to control something. It's a pain in the ass. Let's just be honest. It's like it's great that you can do it, but this is your phone. And we let it do lots of different things. But if I could just get something in the box that I could put on any device, it's almost like the Mimic. It's almost like the Mimic, from FreeFly. You get this little thing, and then you put that on to whatever you want, and then it just tracks, then I would be much happier about that. I used to have this thing that you put a small camera on, and you'd hang a lanyard around your neck, and it had a receiver, and basically it would track you based on that lanyard. You didn't necessarily have to show it. It was underneath your clothing. It was just a little too early. They were kind of ahead of their time. But I think that these companies could come up with stuff that would be just a lot easier. Like a little device. Look, we already have face detection, all that stuff coming into the cameras. Just get a little device that's in the box with your gimbal. You stick it in your pocket or in your shirt pocket or your pants pocket or whatever it is, and it just tracks you. It's just following you all the time. And then you can tune it in terms of the algorithm or whatever it is, so that it's similar to the choices that we're getting with focus on these newer cameras, where you can have it latch on faster or slower. If things cross the frame, it does or doesn't latch on. All of those things. I think they could do very similar things with the gimbals in the future, and I would like to see that happen. I don't know why I started talking about that. Maybe it's from some comment. Oh, the LiDAR thing. That's how small. That's not 7 inches, though, in Phil Holland's face. You'll poke your eye out, kid.
That's the bigger one.
That must be the Super 35 millimeter one, right, Caleb? What's going on? Oh, I see. And it's on the Komodo. But that's a little bit bigger than 7 inches. Oh, actually, no, because that's the back cap of the lens. So maybe it is about 7 inches. They are tiny. They're small, that's for sure. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What autofocus capabilities, Tommy? Tommy says that looks pretty hot. Definitely want one that can utilize the Red's autofocus capabilities. We'll be filming myself.
That'll go hand in hand
app.
with it.
Yeah. I mean, I have a hard enough time with the Fuji camera with autofocus. That Komodo's not going to be amazing. It's going to do some things, but don't get too excited. You're back in Panasonic land. Caleb is talking, but we can't hear him. He's muted himself. We couldn't hear him when he showed the
So sorry
picture
about
too.
that.
We've lost
these
you.
IPA burps. So,
Oh, nice. Appreciate that.
I was just saying, yeah, you're welcome, Ben. Figured that wouldn't be up your alley. Yeah, Fuji, man. Ugh. I wonder if the camera would melt into a pile of black goo if it autofocused accurately all the time, as opposed to when you just hit record.
Right. That's so funny. Tommy says it has phase detect. Okay, it's not just contrast. Will they be using the app focus wheel primarily? You can use the app to pull focus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a reason it took Canon and Sony however long to get their autofocus.
Not
dialed
easy.
in. 2 minutes.
And by the way,
from Rabbit
it was.
Triple.
Yeah, that's because we didn't go down that road for 360 grad. The really with Sony though, if you think about it, in terms of large sensor, it wasn't until the A7 III came out that they started to nail autofocus. That was the first camera, in my opinion, that was like, oh, okay, they're here. And now Canon is, the hat trick that Canon always had, which was their dual pixel CMOS AF, that wasn't necessarily only in their court anymore. Sony came in, and that was a big change. And then they started to trickle down to their APS-C sensor cameras, and their AF system is, it just keeps getting better from what I can see from the A7S III. So yeah.
And the A7S III, I mean the A7S III and the A7R, whatever, they're both ridiculous. Because if we track from what was the first phase detect? Was it the C100 with an update? Was that the first, or was it the Canon 70D?
Mark II? I don't know.
The Canon 70D was the first DSLR that had phase detect.
Yeah.
Autofocus. When did that come out? I'm gonna have to look that up. Canon 70. I'm just curious, from then to now, because I would say Sony and Canon have perfected autofocus. They both have incredible face and eye detection, even with animals. Mm-hmm. So that's 2013. So seven years to go from.
We know that. We tested on Ben
70D.
Last week. Definitely for sure. They got that down. Yep.
Yeah. So 7 years for Red to figure it out, unless there's some easy way to use other people's work without being illegal.
Shazam says C100 had the dual pixel AF update. I mean, the original one was only center focus, and then the C100 Mark II was better, but I feel like they didn't really start growing up in the cinema line until the C300 Mark II. That's kind of when their AF system got really good in terms of where you could place things. But as we've discussed, kind of a soft sensor, especially compared to new sensors nowadays. C200 pretty soft. It's amazing. I got on a call with somebody, Ben, this week, and we were talking about the C200. And it really is now when you look at that image, it's when you're shooting in 4K and you punching into stuff in the timeline compared to these newer cameras, including Canon's, mirrorless cameras, it's nowhere near as sharp. It's always just a little bit,
Jem, I disagree entirely. As someone who might be about to sell it, I think it's razor sharp. I think it's a beautiful image. It's super sharp, and you should buy one now. Yeah, I agree completely. I've been umming and ahhing about what to do with that camera, as to whether to hang on to it now or whether to switch it for the 70.
And you gonna do it?
I think so.
I think the C70 is going to be a rock star. I mean, the same way that the original C300 was just a camera at the time that you couldn't touch when it came to, like what the combination of things are. I mean, it looks ancient now in terms of the feature sets. It was 50 megabits per second and all that stuff. But for what it was at the time, I mean, you look at Cartel Land shot by, my friend Matt Porwall, that was shot on the C300. Sigma lenses,
Mark.
Mark II.
Mark 1 or 2.
Oh,
Mark
sorry.
2,
No,
right
C300. Cartel Land, I think
that was
C300.
the Mark II, right?
No, C300, I think, for Cartel Land.
Oh,
Maybe
OG?
not.
Interesting.
Maybe it's Mark II. But, I mean, just amazing in terms of quality of picture. And, yeah. So, I don't know. What are you going to do? Interesting. And what's Panasonic going to do? Are we going to get an actual cinema camera from them? And then I'm talking like EVA 2 kind of thing. Not this.
There's been a lot of EVA 1s come on the market the last month, I've noticed. Huge amount of people. C200s and EVA 1s, there's a lot going for sale right now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And what was it? You said you got the RP, and it was because people are offloading those because of the newer cameras.
Right.
Yeah.
It is interesting to think about used Canon cinema cameras. They're definitely less appealing. Like when you look back at C500 Mark 1, C300 Mark 1 and 2, you're like, but I could get this for that. But there's a reason they were so amazing, is because, again, the image is just phenomenal. And they use the way ergonomically they work and everything.
I mean, I still have two C100s, Mark 1s, and that 4K sensor, downsampled to 1080. It's sharp. I mean, it's a great image coming out of that camera. It's a pain in the ass. You can't flip the screen, the center focus, all that kind of stuff. But in reality, it's, still pretty amazing how good the image is on that camera. It falls in there in line.
At this point, there's like no reason to sell them,
No,
unless
I mean, I would
some
never.
camera comes out that's amazing for $800 or whatever.
No, even if you just use it as a picture-in-picture, like you're doing a 4K finish, and you need a little pop-up window to show up with a like a 1080 image somewhere in there, you can use them for those. But they're sort of in that same category as certain cameras in history. DVX 100 is one of them. That camera is one of them. I think that the EX1 is one of them. There's just certain cameras that really had huge impact. They had the right combination of features at the time, and that doesn't mean that Panasonic won after that. HVX 200, interestingly enough, very similarly to the C200, was, in my opinion, a very soft HD camera. It didn't have that magic that the DVX 100 had as a standard def camera. And even though you went higher resolution, it was a soft image. It happens. And yeah, I don't know about this Lumix BG-H1. I mean, it's not what we're wanting, in my opinion. I think it's an odd choice.
It has a very specific use case, but it's not if you are interested in like the GH line, it's not necessarily
I don't see
one
why
might
you would
go for.
Why would you get that camera over, an S1H? I don't know. Did I say that right?
Well, it's because of it's designed to be used in a multicam scenario. We want something super small that takes up almost no power, and you want to control them all remotely. And you want things like log, 422 10-bit, like the whole full Monty. For instance, if you're doing like a mini, I don't know, production of some kind where you needed a ton of cameras, that's not a bad option depending on the budget. But
I still think, like, if you look at the A10 line from Blackmagic, and then you look at their two pocket cameras, and you look at the price point that those two pocket cameras are, why the heck would you look at a BG-H1? Because the combination of what they're doing with an A10 Mini, let's say Pro, and the Super 35 millimeter 6K version of the pocket camera, I just think that Blackmagic kills it in that department. It's not like this.
Sure. For four cameras, absolutely. Yeah. But if you want more than 4 cameras and you want all the bells and whistles, and again, power, those things are like hogs. They're loud. Yeah. They're not perfect. To control them, well, I guess you can control them remotely, but only 4 at a time, etc. Yeah. But no, it's definitely more of a niche thing for sure. Most definitely. Yeah. People are talking about having Tommy on. We've talked about in the past about having other guests on.
Yeah.
We've not
for sure
done it yet, but we had Matt on,
people.
Right?
Yeah. We've had people in the past. It hasn't happened a lot, but it's happened, and there's no reason why it shouldn't as we move into the holiday season. The word holiday is a hard thing to say at this time, but we're going to make the best of it and try to do what we can. So yeah.
Daniel Scott, the kind words
great.
There.
Yeah, BG-H1 would be great for 360 work. Do you think so? I don't know what.
I can't remember how many you can control at one time, but I feel like it's a lot. I don't remember from the initial press release.
We're very subdued. Let's get some cool questions and stuff going in the chat. It's like very low key. I like it. It's a nice vibe, but Ben, make fun of me or something. Say something.
Let's blow the candles out. The candles and knock the wine over and bring in a strobe light and enter
I don't know.
Crazy drink here.
You've not been saying anything daft that I can pick up on today. You've been very moderate yourself.
We need another challenge to get that going on again.
I know we do. That's the thing. And then he cheats, and then we can have a go at him. That's the way that it normally works. So
or
this
completely
is unbelievable.
Fails and is awful at it.
Right.
By the way, chat, let us know if you have any rig ideas. I feel like
I just got punched on both sides. Whoa! Be careful what you say. You just punch. You guys are just like punching me from both sides, from the left corner and from above.
We're those two girls who just pile on somebody in school, or university. Wait a second.
We went from milk a cow to two girls. Hold on a second, Caleb. Can you please? What are you doing?
Imagine it's an analogy of two high schoolers.
Yes.
It's a herd mentality. You see something slightly weak, and just one pokes and one attacks, and then the other, and then it's all. You know how absolutely vicious. You have a daughter, right? An older or like high school, middle school.
Who are you talking to?
Your Ben's daughter. He understands this concept, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I have two daughters. The one's 20
it was an analogy,
and 16.
Folks. It's okay.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Just the herd attack on Gem.
On Gem.
John's got a good question. I like this one. Favorite focus peaking color?
Oh, okay.
That's a great question.
I'm gonna go with like neon green or yellow.
Yellow.
Like the most ridiculous stuff that you
Yellow.
can see no matter what you're filming.
Yellow for you, blue for me.
Blue.
Yeah,
Isn't that rather dark?
Well,
for some
Or
like
no,
Ben.
cyan.
Like Ben. He's kind of dark. It makes sense.
Yeah. I use
Going
it
into
on
the-
with the C200. I have it blue because I have it set so that it goes into black and white when I enable it, and then I find the blues just for some reason easy to spot on the black and white frame.
Now wait a second.
Interesting.
No, forget it. Just forget it.
Well,
Here's a good question from Jared.
Yes.
Do you guys run a LUT on your camera feed for live streams, or are you using the straight camera feed?
no LUT, but I set the profile in the camera to something that's, I don't know, I just cycle through them to find something that looks kind of all right. So there's no
What do you
LUT
on now?
it just
Do you
comes
know?
straight in. It's
I think I'm on standard or neutral or natural. Is it natural? Yeah.
It might be
I-
natural.
Yeah, I flip. I mean, there's film simulations on the Fuji camera, so you cycle through those. I think I'm on the normal, whatever it is right now, but I like negative something. I don't know. It depends. A lot of those have to do with environment too and where you're shooting. And
Yeah.
yeah.
That's exactly it. There's something that I would... Well, this camera is always in log when I'm using it for anything else. So this is always a thing because I then turn it on, I go, oh, this looks terrible, flip it into whichever one it is that I use because it defaults back to whatever I used last time when you turn the log off.
Yeah.
But it's always a bit of a thing that when I then go out to use it on a job that I've remembered to actually turn it back on. Normally, as soon as you look at the screen, oh yeah, I need to do this. But because you've got with that camera particularly, it's got the, I can't remember what they call it, but it's the function where it is essentially putting a 709 LUT on what you're seeing on the on-camera monitor. So it isn't like you look at it and go, no, yeah, I'm definitely in log. So it is a thing that I have to remember each time that we do this to switch it off, and then when we finish to switch it back over. Again, it's part of my little checklist of stuff before we start going on a job now.
Yeah.
Nice.
What about Bryce's? Can you read that one? I think that's a good question.
Office equipment manager of a university filmmaking club. We basically have zero grip view stands, very basic lights, panel lights. What should we pick up? $3K, maybe $4,500. Is this for grip gear? Is what you're looking for? I mean,
Or are you
could do
also
some
trying to pick
damage.
up lights?
Or
Yeah,
you
I
tried,
mean,
yeah, right, lights too.
no, but if you're
that
talking
definitely
about
shrinks
basic,
it.
but basic grip is easy. I mean, look, in the end,
Yeah.
you buy a bunch of C stands, which are in actual fact not that expensive, right? They're 125 to 150 bucks each with a 40-inch arm, and you pick up a 10-pack of those, and you're doing sandbags are easy. You put play sand in them and you buy them empty.
Yep.
That's pretty cheap. And then it's modifiers. I mean, if we're not talking about lighting, we're talking about bounce and all
Apparently
that kind of stuff.
we are
Well,
talking
we
about
are.
lighting.
Well,
Yes,
Okay.
lighting and grip.
Then that's gonna go real quick.
one C
I
stand-
would say
one
you've
C
got to
stand.
start. Well, depending on what all you're trying to do, if you're a university filmmaking club, I don't know what you all need, but I feel like a lot of C stands, or like, I don't know, 5, whatever that is, 500, about a grand,
6, let's go 6,
800 bucks, 6, yeah. Spend some, don't spend less. Don't buy those Amazon C stands. That doesn't count.
minimum impact, right?
Um,
I would say minimum impact. Would
Oh yeah,
be kind-
Impact and Kupo is kind of like a great place to start. I still have tons of Impact stuff.
I will counter that and say that I have got a couple of cheapy ones that I've had for 6-7 years. The grip heads on them work great. They've never let go.
The
Never had
ones
a
that are
single
like,
issue
they're
with them.
not solid. They're like a tube. Like those Amazon ones with the foam. Like they're $100 on Amazon. And to me, I've bought them, and you got to start at $150 roughly, the Impact level,
Okay.
in my opinion.
I can't remember if these had
But,
foam
like-
or what we paid for them. But
Yeah,
these
like
were-
the
you-
Amazon
are you
ones,
chucking
they're
them in-
$100, and
Yeah.
they're a tube. They're an aluminum tube. They're not even solid. You can go tung tung tung.
Oh, really?
and that's
Are you
Oh, no, I
chucking
don't.
they're
yours
just a
in the
heavy
back of
duty
a truck?
stand.
Are yours heavy? I mean, are yours like proper C stands,
Mine?
even if they're off-brand? No, Ben. Are you
Oh,
like
right.
chucking it in and out of trucks and everything and all that? Yeah, my glasses are
Yeah.
hella crooked. I also have my. Don't even ask me about my glasses. I do this every week.
It's a
to
common
bother.
thing. It's
I know
like every
It is a
exactly
week.
what
common.
this
Look,
He
is.
does
here.
it. He does
There
it
you
to
go.
piss. He does it to annoy me. Sorry, I nearly.
I also
got you
have a
demonetized
problem
again.
standing completely straight, Robert. Just so you know, I have an injury here on the shoulder, and there is actually a thing where you see my head is always kind of like this. Don't think I don't notice. It's okay. Go ahead. I'm
Me
ready.
too. This shoulder right here, you can see right now, just me sitting here naturally.
Yeah, and then what
Messenger
happens
bag.
if I just stand
Kid
up
you
and I'm
not.
like looking? I'm always like a little bit off to one side, to my left. Yeah.
But going back to
So.
trying to be helpful to that question, to
Listen.
Bryce, yeah, maybe
Always
like
in the
a
last
couple
5
C
minutes.
stands and arms, couple spigots, which will be a couple bucks. And I don't know for lights. That's a tough one. If they're film students, some tungsten gear could be really cheap, and you could learn a lot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
let me say that
If you have power.
there are some really inexpensive frames out there, and you can buy fabric from places like Matthews Studio Equipment, from Modern Studio Equipment, and you can get magic cloth, and you can get all of these things. You can get 6x6s and just put in between two C stands. There's so many different ways you can modify light that does not have to cost a lot of money, but the kit that you invest in is $150, and it will last basically forever unless you throw it into a mud pit or something, and it'll do really well. And like a quacker clamp, platypus clamp, duckbill clamp, and a 4x4 piece of foam core. I mean, that's just magic. You're bouncing into foam core over there with this little aperture light with the the little f7, right? And so
Yeah.
especially when you're in controlled environments, it gets tricky as soon as you're in non-controlled environments. That's where the big guns have to come out, where you have to block and shape light a lot more. When you're in a space like we're in controlled environments, it's very easy for us to decide where our ratios are and what we're doing, and we don't need as much light, and we can use stuff like that. So you can do a lot with $4,500. I think that the key is not to invest in a lot of expensive lights, because you can very easily, even if you say an aperture LED panel, you're still going to spend $1,700 on that thing, and now you've eaten into your budget. Now, if you're going to use that day in and day out, then that's, I guess, a different story. What about you, Caleb? Like, if you were going to get one big honking light and then modify with it, what would you do right now if you were going to invest, let's say, $1,500 to $2,000 in that?
Oh geez. I mean, I like the 300D too. Simple, good control. 300X is all right if you need a little more color control. A little more than that, I haven't played with too much in the $2,000 department, but definitely something single source like that. Heck, two 300Ds. I mean, you'd be gold. You could booklight a 12x12 probably, depending on the scenario, obviously. Maybe not 12x12, 6x6. I don't know. But another consideration is if you just want output for cheap, and these students or whoever isn't going to completely wail on the gear, and it's going to be a little more controlled, just buy a bunch of those Godox 100, 200 watt lights.
Yeah.
They're dirt cheap. I mean, the 60 watt, which is plenty for something like this, is like $130. Not even, actually. It's around $100. I can't remember. Super cheap. The SL 200 watt is a couple $100. You could buy a boatload of those, and you're gonna have so much output. You could, do a lot with that.
I
But
mean,
they're not gonna take a beating.
I'm in an 11.5 by 11.5 foot room, and I'm bouncing a bowling P1 off of a little bit of white sound blanket and a little reflector, and it's at 55%. It was way too hot at 100%. So in a controlled environment, you don't need that much. You have that F7, right, Ben? And you're bouncing that off the foam core.
I'm running at 50%.
Yep. So, it's just as soon as you have ambient light, then you're kind of screwed. Then you need, then you're balancing, and that's a whole different thing. But in a smaller space, it's not that big of a deal. I cannot believe the time. Oh my goodness.
I know. Bill
Wow.
just said this show should be 2 hours long.
That's
and
very
with
nice
that,
of
we're
you.
entering into the final minute. Thank you, Bill. Yeah, and great questions, everybody. And took a little while to warm up this week. Just getting everybody kind of dialed in, settled in, but good questions. We did it. Another show.
Another one. Yep.
We did.
I still have a bunch of beer I didn't work on, so I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, I was low key.
figure
I
that
think
out.
we were just talking. We're talking kit today and just having a chat,
Yeah.
and that's not always a bad thing. It doesn't always have to be rowdy. I appreciate it,
Yep.
and it can be sometimes. Just watch the emojis.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
So-
also wonder this week if we've maybe lost a few of the Brits, and if maybe there's definitely some of the European contingent in, because we have this time shift. We're an hour earlier this week.
Yeah.
Which we addressed last week, so it's only just turned midnight for me here. So I don't know,
Got it.
I don't know if that's maybe
Well, I'm
caught
resetting.
people out this
We're,
week.
we're if you're interested in documentary filmmaking,
Sky's
head over to New Shooters YouTube channel, because I'm doing part 2 with Eric Naso and Matt Allard. It's really Matt Allard who's being featured there, and he's an amazing documentary filmmaker. We covered a couple of his mini documentaries last week. We're going to be looking more in depth into one called On Thin Ice today at 4:30 Pacific. So lovely to hang with you guys. Love you guys, and we're going to be coming back next Wednesday, the day after Election Day. So
Oh gosh.
we're not
be
going to.
interesting,
we're not
folks.
Yeah.
talking about it, so it's just like
Oh, we're not. Yeah, so we will tell you this right now as we're about to say finish on the show. Next week we will not be talking about politics. We ask everybody here in the chat to come and just enjoy yourself on camera and Flask. And we're going to talk about gear, and we're going to talk about creativity, and we're going to talk about what we do in our industry. And we ask that nobody get into the politics in the chat. Next week is for us to have a break from all of that, especially if you're from the US of A. And everybody, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Caleb. Thank you, Ben. All the best.
Have a good night. Thanks,
Take
guys,
care.
for hanging out.